Number 7 looks like a reading question, and we're just going to have to treat it that way. There's really no math involved. This is much more about using process of elimination to sort through these choices and understand the definitions that are kind of built into this. This is a statistics question, so we're going to understand some statistic ideas to really get it right. So if we look at the situation, let me read it here. A retail company has 50 large stores located in different areas throughout a state. A researcher for the company believes that employee job satisfaction varies greatly from store to store. Which of the following sampling methods is most appropriate to estimate the proportion of all employees of the company who are satisfied with their job? So we're asking a survey. And if we want to have an accurate survey, which is really what they're talking about here. So an accurate survey must have two things. One, we want a pretty good sample size. We want it to be as big as possible. Basically, the more people you ask, the more accurate your survey, right? If we asked everybody, then we'd have a perfectly accurate survey, but we're not going to do that, so we're going to ask a smaller subset of people, but we still kind of want to ask enough people that it's useful. The other piece, though, and this is the piece that's more important on the SAT, is that it needs to be a random sample. It's not just that we have to ask a lot of people. We have to ask people in a way that represents the entire population. So a random sample is basically like you just pick people randomly, and it reflects what you would get if you asked everybody without actually asking everybody. So we need to keep both of these ideas in mind, but the random sample is the more important one. We want to avoid any sort of bias. So let's just go choice by choice here and see how bias might creep in. Choice A, selecting one of the 50 stores at random and then surveying each employee at the store. Well, this kind of goes against the person's goal, right? We want to find out how the stores vary, right? They're saying in this question that job satisfaction varies a lot from store to store. So how would we learn about that variation if we only asked the people at one store? We need to know how those people at store A compare to the people at store B. What do they think? How are they different? Who's happy? Who's not? So this is defeating the purpose. It's not asking a good group of people. Choice B, selecting 10 employees from each store at random and then surveying each employee selected. Well, this has a good word. That word random is pretty good. That's what we want. That fits with our random sample. This number 10 seems a little low. So let's see if there's a better choice, but the random thing is good. Choice C, surveying the 25 highest paid employees and the 25 lowest paid employees. Well, that has more people, so that sounds pretty good. But in terms of bias, we're going to have a problem here, right? If we ask the highest paid employees, they're probably pretty happy with their jobs because they're paid pretty well. And if we ask the lowest paid employees, then they're probably unhappy with their jobs because they're not paid very well. So we're going to get kind of like this separation of people, and we're going to have trouble understanding what the average person thinks because we're not asking the average person. We're asking the highest people and the lowest people. So this is not a random sample. It's specific people. We want to randomize this a lot more. So this is not a good choice. Choice D, creating a website on which employees can express their opinions and then using the first 50 responses. Well, I don't know, 50 doesn't sound like a big enough number, but you know, it's something. So it's hard to compare that to the number in choice B. But the bigger problem is if we create a website and then we find out who goes on this website first, this also isn't random. You're going to self-select here. So who knows what kind of people are going to do the survey? It might be the people who are super happy and really want to talk up how great their job is. Or it might be the people who are really, really unhappy and are ready to complain, right? You know, think about any review site that you use on the internet. A lot of the times, the people who are writing in are the people who are really happy and the people who are really unhappy. You get kind of a separation again. So this is not going to randomize it. Choice B is the best option because even though we're only asking 10 people per store, we're asking 10 people for all 50 of the stores, so we get a good sample. And it's a random 10 people, so there's no bias. It's just whoever happens to be in the way of the person who's asking the survey, right? So it's just the random people, and so that helps us understand what the average person thinks. So this is a lot of reading for a math question, but it's really just coming down to this one idea that we want to avoid bias. And the way to avoid bias is to make sure you ask a random sample of the population. That is a fact that you should memorize. It's very likely to come up on your test.